Hey, and welcome to Eat, Learn, Love. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Angie, and I'm a wife and a homeschooling mom to 5. And today I'm going to show you how we make chicken broth. I do it in the Instant Pot. There's also a crock pot or slow cooker variation, but it's super simple and just basic ingredients that pretty much everybody has around their kitchen. So I'll show you how we do it. So these are the ingredients we typically use. I have sea salt and pepper, ground turmeric, some garlic. I usually use more garlic, but that's the end of what I have. I need to get more. We use apple cider vinegar, the raw, unfiltered kind. We have one whole chicken, just the bones left. That was in the freezer, that's why you can't really see through the bag. I have some carrots, celery, and onion. And usually I have veggie scraps instead of the actual veggies. Whenever we cut vegetables for dinner or meals, I save the ends and the bits that we remove and put them in a container in the freezer to use for broth. However, I just made broth last week and I didn't have a lot of scraps, so I'm just going to use the actual fresh vegetables. So when I use scraps, I typically include broccoli in that as well, some of the broccoli stems. I don't have that today, so I won't even bother with broccoli, but it'll still be pretty flavorful. So the first thing I do usually is put my bones in, my chicken bones. Again, this is one whole chicken. We ate all the meat off it, and I just throw the bones in a freezer bag and toss them in the freezer until we're ready to make broth. You can use 2 whole sets of bones if you want. It just takes up more space in here and you can put less veggies and water in, but it will make it a stronger chicken flavor if you use more than one chicken. Now I know some people use their set of bones at least twice. I don't really prefer that. I use it once and then I toss it. The broth, it's still good using it the second time, it's just less flavorful, so I figure I'm just gonna make it once. We eat enough whole chickens anyways that we have a pretty steady supply of bones to use for broth. So, but you can make it a second time. It'll be lighter in color, and less flavorful. But again, you can do it a second time. So I'm putting them directly into the Instant Pot. If you're using a slow cooker, you would just put them in the slow cooker, same way. It's gonna be the same steps. It'll just be a different setting for slow cooker. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and throw in my veggies. I only have 1 garlic clove, of course. Normally I put 3 or 4 or 5 in. I only have 1 today, so I'm gonna cut it and I'm going to just smash it. I'm not even gonna bother chopping it because it's gonna get strained at the end anyways, so it won't matter that it's just a whole piece of garlic in there. And for the carrots, I have washed them and they've just been sitting in my vegetable drawer. I just cut off the ends because what I'm going to do is I'm going to save those ends and put them in my scraps bin since I'm using the whole carrot this time. So I just cut it into small pieces, throw it in there. I have 3 carrots. I mean, you can use as many as you want. I mean, 1 carrot I think would be fine. I like the veggie flavor in with it, so I'm going to use 3. We usually have a lot. Most of our veggie scraps, it's probably 40% carrot scraps and then 60% for the other 3 items, or 20% per item. Now, just a side note, if you are going to use the actual veggies and then save the scraps for another thing, do not save your garlic scraps. They are not okay to use. The garlic skins and that kind of thing. I don't remember why, but I read it, and I don't know if it's really bad for you or poisonous or what. You know how some things are not a good idea. So celery, I'm just going to take the leaves off and throw those in my scraps and just use the celery pieces itself today. I'm just going to throw them in whole, cut off some of the dry ends. This one's a little big, so chop it up. And I'm just going to do 3 little stalks here. I get made fun of because I say stalks, and apparently other people say stalks of celery, but that doesn't even make sense to me. That's like S-T-O-C-K, and since it's A-L-K, it seems like you should pronounce all the letters, so stalks it is. I'm just going to sprinkle a lot of pepper. No, I don't say chalk. Let's see. I'm using sea salt, and I put a lot in because nothing has been salted other than the chicken when we ate it. But since all the meat and skin is off and it's just the bones, there's really no saltiness left to it. So I put a lot of salt in because it's going to be a lot of broth that needs to be salted. And for the ground turmeric, I just do a couple rounds sprinkling it in. I have no measurement. But turmeric has a lot of health benefits. You can Google it and find out all the great things about it. But I go easy on the turmeric because one time I used too much and it tasted terrible. It's a very strong flavor if you overpower your other stuff. If you have turmeric root, you can use that. I have used, if I had to guess, 2 quarter inch pieces in the broth. So I just cut up the pieces and then throw them in. You can cut the skin off it or you can leave the skin on. I guess it really doesn't matter. And the onion too, I'm gonna save the peels for my scrap bin. That way I have more veggies ready for next time. Again, since I'm using actual whole veggie this time. And like I said, I usually have broccoli too, and this time I don't have any broccoli ready. So I'm not even gonna bother with it. Broccoli is a strong flavor, so I don't typically use more than 1 stalk of it. And that's about it for the veggies and the chicken bones and the seasonings. I have read about adding apple cider vinegar. It helps draw the nutrients out of the chicken bones. So I do 2 to 3 tablespoons for each batch. It doesn't change the flavor at all. It doesn't taste like vinegar or anything. That was one thing I was like worried about. But if you, again, Google it, research it, lots of benefits to it. Okay. Everything's in there that I need. Now we just have to add water. I typically add about 18 cups of water to this. Always take note of the measurement marking on the inside of your Instant Pot. I assume all pressure cookers have it, but the Instant Pot definitely does. And tells you where the max is. Do not go above that line. It messes with it being able to build up pressure, and you don't want it exploding in your kitchen. I've never done that, and I plan to never do that. So. Slow cooker, you can fill it up as much as you want. I would fill it all the way to about 1 inch from the top because it's not going to boil over in the slow cooker if that's a concern. So I'm going to go ahead and put the water in and then we'll go from there. So the water's in there. We're just below the max line. If you want to bring the camera in, Addie, and show what's in the Instant Pot. Awesome. My 10-year-old is my film person, my camera lady today. Side note, if you store your Instant Pot with your lid sitting upside down, make sure you take the, what is this called? The venting knob off before you start filling your pot, because I just realized my knob was in the bottom of this. So I had to rinse it off. So we're ready to go. Put it on manual for Instant Pot. You can use the broth setting. I don't know much about it, read your manual. But I put it on manual. And I'm gonna do 60 minutes. You can do anywhere from 45 to 60 minutes. You can go more than 60 minutes. If you don't have time for the full hour, do 45 minutes. It's still gonna be really good. 60, I feel like is a good amount of time for getting out the flavor and whatnot. Okay. So for the crock pot, what you would do is put it all in, fill it up as high as you want, lid on, put it on high, and I would let it go on high till it starts to bubble a little bit, and then I would put it on low and leave it for about 12 to 24 hours. I've left it for a full 24 and it is super flavorful. I've left it for 12 and it's just fine. It tastes like chicken broth. So you can really do it for any amount of time. I wouldn't do it for any less than 12 or it'd be kind of watery and I feel like you wouldn't have gotten a lot of the flavor out of your bones and your vegetables. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna let this sit, build up pressure, cook, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. So the Instant Pot just beeped that it's done. I just realized I say so a lot. But the Instant Pot just beeped that it's done. I'm gonna let it naturally release for about 10 or 15 minutes and then we'll manually release and I'll show you what it looks like inside. The Instant Pot is done. I let it naturally release for 15 minutes, and then I hit the manual release and it just completed that. So I'm gonna take the lid off. I always use something on my hand because even though it's done, it's still really hot. A little bit. So if you want to bring the camera up here, Annie. Here's the broth done, and with the vegetables and everything. I'm gonna let it cool for just a minute, and then I'm going to start scooping out the bones and veggies and putting them on this colander here to drain out the fluid. And eventually, once the middle part cools down a little bit so I can handle it, I'll dump the whole thing, strain it, and then we ditch the bones and vegetables in here, and we let the broth cool in here for a while before I put them in my large quart jars. For the crock pot, you would do it the same way. When it's done, let it, take the lid off, unplug it, let it cool down for a while, and scoop out the bones and vegetables, let them strain, and then you can eventually pour the whole thing to strain and let the broth cool before you put it in jars. The next morning, I forgot to record when we bottled the broth. So we got 4 and almost a half quarts from the 18 cups. And these have been in the refrigerator overnight, so you see the fat has congealed at the top. So when I go to use them, if I want it less greasy, I just scrape that off and throw the hardened fat away. But if I'm putting it in a soup, I usually just leave the fat. It really doesn't affect us. But if we're gonna drink it, if I'm warming it up to drink, then I scoop the fat off. So that's the Instant Pot broth. And if you like that kind of stuff, hit like, and to check out more of our videos, hit subscribe so you can get all the new information. That's about it. Thanks for watching. I hope that was helpful for people that have been wanting to make broth or maybe try it in the Instant Pot. Like I said, super simple, basic ingredients, and you can put pretty much any vegetable scraps or vegetable in there. The only thing to stay away from would be potato peels and, like I said, the garlic skins and bits that you cut off. So yeah, thanks for watching. Check back soon. Have a good day.